you so much for watching because today we will be talking on how a bill becomes a law. But first, let us have a brief distinction between a bill and a law. A bill is a legislative proposal from the House of the Representatives and Senate within the Philippine Congress. A bill does not become a law unless signed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines. But the House of the Representatives may overturn its presidential veto by garnering two-thirds vote. While a law is a body of rules of actions or conduct prescribed by controlling authority and having binding legal force, that must be obeyed and followed by the citizens, subject to sanctions and legal consequences. Alright, here we discuss the legal basis or the legal process of how a bill becomes a law. Currently, Republic Acts are the form of laws in the Philippines. The power of Congress to enact Republic Acts is constrained by the Philippine Constitution. The procedure is generally outlined in the Philippine Constitution itself, though both houses of the Congress, known as the lower house of the Congress or the House of the Representatives, which is composed of congressmen, and the other is the upper house, which is the Senate of the Philippines, have their own internal rules of procedure. The power of Congress to enact laws and legislation is outlined by the following provisions in the Constitution. 1. Every bill passed by Congress shall embrace only one subject, which shall be expressed in the title thereof. 2. No bill passed by either house shall become a law unless it has passed 3 readings on a separate days, and printed copies thereof, in its final form, have been distributed to its members 3 days before its passage, except when the President certifies to the necessity of its immediate enactment to meet a public calamity or emergency. Upon the last reading of a bill, no amendment thereto shall be allowed, and the vote thereon shall be taken immediately thereafter, and the yes and nays entered in the journal. 3. Every bill passed by Congress shall, before it becomes a law, be presented to the President. If he approves the same, he shall sign it. Otherwise, he shall veto it and return the same with his objections to the House where it originated, which shall enter the objections at large in its journal and proceed to reconsider it. If, after such reconsideration, two-thirds of all members of such House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent, together with the objections, to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered. And if approved by two-thirds of all the members of that House, it shall become a law. In all such cases, the votes of each House shall be determined by yes or nays, and the names of the members voting for or against shall be entered in its journal. The President shall communicate his veto of any bill to the House where it originated within 30 days after the date of receipt thereof. Otherwise, it shall become a law as if he had signed it. The legislative process. For a congressional bill becomes a law, it has to undergo a process with both houses of Congress, namely the lower house or the House of the Representatives and the Senate of the Philippines. The following is an outline of all the legislative process as mandated by the Constitution and implemented by the House of Representatives Rules of Procedure.
The first reading of the bill. The bill is prepared and drafted upon the request of the member by the Bill Drafting Division of the Reference and Research Bureau. The bill undergoes its first reading. The bill is filed with the Bills and Index Service, and the same is numbered and reproduced. 3 days after its filing, the same is included in the order of business for first reading. On the first reading, The Secretary General reads the title and the number of the bill. The Speaker refers the bill to the appropriate committee. The appropriate committee evaluates the bill, conducts public hearings, makes recommendations, and transmits the same to the plenary session for appropriate action. The committee where the bill was referred evaluates it to determine the necessity of conducting public hearings. If the committee finds it necessary to conduct public hearings, it schedules the time thereof, issues public notices, and invites resource persons from the public and private sectors, also the academe and experts on the proposed legislation. If the committee finds that a public hearing is no longer needed, it schedules the bill for committee discussion. Based on the result of the public hearings or committee discussions, the committee may introduce amendments, consolidate bills on the subject matter, or propose a substitute bill. It then prepares the corresponding committee report. The committee approves the committee report and formally transmits the same to the Plenary Affairs Bureau. The second reading of the bill. The bill undergoes its second reading. The committee report is registered and numbered by the Bills and Index Service. It is included in the order of business and referred to the Committee on Rules. The Committee on Rules schedules the bill for consideration on second reading. On second reading, the Secretary General reads the number, the title, and the text of the bill, and the following will take place. Number 1, the period of sponsorship and debate. Number 2, the period of amendments. And finally, number 3, voting which may be by viva voce, count by tellers, division of the House, or nominal voting. However, based on the outlined procedure, the approval thereof by the committee is merely recommendatory. The bill will still undergo the second and third reading before it is sent to the President for his veto or approval. Hence, nothing conclusive may be drawn from the approval of the bill at the committee stage, except that one may get a bird's eye view of the subjective opinions or objections of the members of the committee regarding the approval of the proposed pieces of legislation. It is only after the third reading that the disposition of the bill becomes categorical.
The third reading of the bill. The bill undergoes its third and final reading, where amendments, if any, are engrossed and printed copies of the bill are reproduced for the third reading. The engrossed bill is included in the calendar of bills for the third reading, and copies of the bill is distributed to all members 3 days before its final reading. On the third reading, the Secretary General reads only the number and title of the bill. The roll call or nominal voting is called, and a member, if he desires, is given 3 minutes to explain his vote. No amendments to the bill is allowed at this stage. The bill is approved by an affirmative vote of a majority of the members present. If the bill is disapproved, the same is transmitted to the archives. The approved bill is transmitted to the Senate for its concurrence. After the bill is approved by the lower house of Congress, it will be transmitted to the Senate. It undergoes the same legislative process in the Senate. Thus, the bill will proceed with steps outlined above, but this time before the Senate. Once approved by both houses of Congress, a bicameral conference committee is formed to deliberate, integrate, and reconcile the changes and amendments of the different bills which were passed before both houses of Congress. A conference committee is formed to amend, revise, and finalize the bill. A conference committee is constituted and is composed of members from each House of Congress to settle, reconcile, or thrash out differences or disagreements on any provisions of the bill. The conferees are limited to reconciling the differences in the bill, but may introduce new provisions germane to the subject matter or may report an entirely new bill on the subject. The conference committee prepares a report to be signed by all the conferees and chairman. The conference committee report is submitted for consideration and approval of both houses. No amendment is allowed at this point. Copies of the bill signed by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives and certified by both Secretary of the Senate and the Secretary General of the House are transmitted to the President.
Approval or veto by the President. The President may do any of the following. If the bill is approved by the President, the same is assigned an RA number and transmitted to the House where it originated. An example is the SIM or the Subscriber Identification Module Registration Act. This bill aims to protect Filipino consumers against scammers and identity thieves. This is a consolidation of Senate Bill number 1310 and House Bill number 14 passed by the Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri and House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez on September 28, 2022. President Marcos signed it into law on October 10, 2022 as Republic Act number 11934. If the bill is vetoed by the President, the bill, together with a message citing the reason for the veto, is transmitted to the House where the bill originated. An example is a bill passed by the Senate in May 2022, authored by Senator Jaime Marcos. This was then adopted by the House of Representatives as House Bill number 7575. This bill aims to create the Bulacan Airport City Special Economic Zone and Freeport. This Special Economic Zone will include a $15 billion international airport that will be able to handle 100 million passengers annually. This bill was vetoed by President Bongbong Marcos, citing that creating a new special economic zone which offers lengthy and wide-ranging tax perks to investors would pose substantial financial risk to the country. The approved or veto bill then goes back to Congress for appropriate action. If the bill is approved, the bill is reproduced and copies are sent to the official Gazette office for publication and distribution to the implementing agencies. It is then included in the annual compilation of acts and resolutions. An example is a recent law, Republic Act 11935, an act postponing the December 22 barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. This postponed the said elections from December 5 this year to October 30, 2023. This was signed by President Marcos on October 10, 2022, published in the Official Gazette on October 12, 2022. As provided in Article 2 of the New Civil Code of the Philippines, laws shall take effect after 15 days following the completion of their publication in the Official Gazette unless it is otherwise provided. If the bill is vetoed, the message is included in the order of business. If Congress decides to override the veto, the House and the Senate shall proceed separately to reconsider the bill or the veto items of the bill. If the bill or its vetoed items is passed by the vote of 2/3 of the members of each House, such bill or item shall become a law.
Alright, those are the process and how a specific bill becomes a law. Always remember that bills are laws in the making, so it is not yet a law. It does not have any binding legal force. I hope you have learned something from this video, and next time, if you're having confusions of what a bill is, just visit this channel. And lastly, please comment if you want us to make more educational videos. Thank you for watching!